Ladies and gentlemen, life has this uncanny ability to surprise us. It throws things at us when we least expect it. And sometimes we stand there frozen, wondering why. Why now? Why me? Why this moment? Why this setback? And in those moments, it's easy to question everything. Your worth, your choices, your path. But let me tell you something. Timing is everything. I've always believed that we are where we need to be, even when we don't understand why. Even when it feels like the world is unraveling around us. We are taught to rush, to chase success, to measure our worth by the clock and the calendar. But life, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't move to the rhythm of your expectations or your plans. It moves in its own time. There was a time in my life when everything seemed uncertain. I found myself in a place I never imagined, where everything was broken, my body, my dreams, my reality. And I could have let that be the end of the story. I could have chosen to give up, to let the timing of that moment define me. But what I learned through that experience is that sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our lives don't happen in the order we want them to. They happen when we least expect it. I stand before you today not because life's timing was kind, but because I trusted it. I trusted that each setback, each painful moment was not the end. It was just a pause, an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to come back stronger. And what I want you to remember today is that the difficult times you're going through, the waiting, the uncertainty, it's all a part of your story. It's preparing you for something you may not see yet. Timing, my friends, is not something we can control. We can't rush it, and we certainly can't slow it down. All we can do is show up every day with faith. Faith that no matter how long the road may seem, no matter how hard the journey, it's leading us to the right place at the right time. And that, in itself, is enough. So, can you trust life's timing? Yes, because timing has a way of working things out in ways we could never predict. Sometimes when the pieces of your life don't fit together as you want them to, it's because they are meant for something greater. Trust in that. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be, and your story is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Remember this, the best things in life don't happen overnight. They happen in their own time, when you're ready for them, even if you don't know it yet. Be patient, be kind to yourself, and always trust that everything is unfolding as it should. Life, in its essence, is not a series of events arranged neatly into a timeline that we can predict and control. It is not a perfectly plotted map where every step is calculated, every turn deliberate. Instead, it is something far more intricate and unpredictable. Something that moves beyond the confines of our understanding. We as human beings often have a tendency to plan, to structure our days and years with clear expectations of what should come next, when it should happen, and how it should unfold. We take comfort in timelines, schedules, and deadlines, believing that if we follow a specific order, everything will fall into place at the right moment. However, life has a different way of working. Life's timing doesn't adhere to the linear structure we hope for. It does not follow the neat, orderly path that we often expect it to. It moves instead in unpredictable, surprising ways, with moments of clarity and moments of chaos, all coexisting, teaching us that control is an illusion. This realization is often difficult to accept because as humans we crave certainty. We want to know what's next. We want to predict the future, to control our circumstances, to shape our lives with our will. It is deeply ingrained in our nature to think that if we plan enough, work hard enough, and anticipate every eventuality, we can create a life that is smooth without unexpected bumps. But life in its fullness is never that simple. It is messy, complex, and beautiful because of the very unpredictability that we often resist. We often think of life as a series of milestones: getting an education, starting a career, finding love, raising a family, achieving financial stability. There are standard markers, goals, and expectations. We believe that if we follow a certain path at a certain age and achieve certain things, we will find happiness and fulfillment. Society too reinforces this notion, setting these milestones as norms. It often becomes a race, a rush to reach these goals within a specific time frame. But what happens when life doesn't follow the timeline we've constructed in our minds? What happens when the dreams we hold dear don't manifest in the order we expect, or even at the time we think they should? What happens when we feel lost, stuck, or delayed in our journey, questioning the very path we're on? This is where trust comes in. Trusting life's timing requires us to let go of the need for complete control. It requires us to acknowledge that things may not happen when we expect them to, but they will still unfold as they should. The beauty of life is in its unpredictability, in the moments that surprise us, in the times when the unexpected leads us to places we never imagined. These moments, unplanned, unanticipated, sometimes unwelcome, are often the ones that shape us, that help us grow in ways we couldn't have predicted. But in order to embrace this, we need to let go of our rigid timelines and trust that life knows what it's doing, even when we don't. Consider the times when things didn't go as planned. Maybe you didn't get the job you thought you deserved, or the relationship you hoped would work out ended unexpectedly. Perhaps you lost something you valued deeply, or you found yourself facing a setback that seemed insurmountable. In those moments, it is easy to despair, to wonder if life is against you, to question whether you'll ever find success or happiness. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you often realize that these so-called setbacks were simply redirections. They were detours on the journey that led you somewhere better, somewhere more aligned with who you were meant to be. Life has a way of testing us, of forcing us to grow, of making us stronger and more resilient through the very things that seem like obstacles. Often, we can't see the value of these challenges when we're in the midst of them, but in hindsight, they become some of the most important moments in our lives. Maybe you didn't get that promotion, but that rejection led you to explore a new path that brought you greater fulfillment. Maybe a relationship ended, but it allowed you to grow into a version of yourself you hadn't even realized was possible. The timing, though painful in the moment, was perfect for the transformation that needed to happen. Sometimes, life's timing means that we need to wait longer than we expect for something we want. We may yearn for certain experiences, dreams, or milestones, and we may feel as if the clock is ticking, wondering why things aren't happening sooner. This impatience can be overwhelming. We wonder, what's wrong with me? Why is everyone else moving ahead while I'm still stuck here? The reality is that waiting is often a part of the process. We may not understand why things are delayed, but sometimes the delay is exactly what we need. We might not be ready yet. We might need to learn more, experience more, or heal from something that we've been avoiding. The delay doesn't mean failure, it means preparation. Life knows when we're ready, even when we don't. Trusting life's timing also requires us to embrace uncertainty. The fear of the unknown is a powerful force that can paralyze us, making us feel as though we need to have everything figured out before we take the next step. But the truth is we can never have it all figured out. We can never predict with certainty what will happen tomorrow, next month, or next year. And that's okay. In fact, it's a relief to let go of the illusion that we have to control everything. Trusting in life's timing means accepting the unknown, embracing it, and understanding that not knowing is part of the adventure. It's in the uncertainty that we often find our greatest discoveries, our most profound lessons, and our most unexpected joys. This doesn't mean that we sit passively waiting for things to happen. Trusting life's timing does not mean inaction. On the contrary, it means doing the work, showing up every day, giving our best effort, and then trusting that the results will come when the time is right. We cannot rush the seasons of our lives. Just as we cannot hurry the growth of a plant or the ripening of fruit, we cannot force our personal growth or the manifestation of our dreams. They come in their own time, and often this time is different from what we imagine. Life's timing is also about learning to be present. When we're focused solely on the future, we miss out on the beauty of the moment we're in right now. We become so fixated on what's next, on what we want to achieve, that we forget to appreciate the journey, to value the present, and to see the signs and lessons life is offering us along the way. Being present means trusting that everything is unfolding in the way it is meant to, even if we can't see it in the moment. It means understanding that the present moment, with all its imperfections and uncertainties, is exactly where we need to be. It's also important to recognize that life's timing is not random, nor is it punitive. Sometimes, when things don't go our way, we may think we're being punished or that life is being unfair. We question the system, wonder why certain things happen to us, and feel as though we're being singled out. But life's timing isn't a punishment. It is simply a series of events that we are part of, experiences that shape us into who we are meant to become. The things that seem to hurt the most often lead to the greatest growth. And although we can't always see it in the moment, we can trust that the pain will eventually transform into wisdom and strength. What does all this mean in the end? It means that life is not about following a prescribed path, checking off boxes, or meeting society's expectations. It's about trusting that where you are right now, no matter how uncertain, difficult, or delayed it may seem, is exactly where you need to be. Timing in its purest form is not something we can force or control. It is something that flows naturally in its own rhythm, and we are part of that flow. Trusting life's timing means surrendering to the process, showing up with faith, and knowing that everything will fall into place when the time is right. Patience is often seen as a virtue, but it's much more than just a quality to admire from afar. It is an essential skill for navigating life's challenges and uncertainties. In a world that thrives on immediacy, where everything seems to be moving faster than ever before, patience is something that many of us struggle to cultivate. We live in a time where instant gratification is the norm. We want things now. We want answers, success, love, and happiness at the snap of our fingers. But life doesn't work that way. Real growth, real achievement, and real fulfillment take time. Patience isn't simply about waiting. It's about understanding that everything happens in its own time, and that rushing the process often robs us of the valuable experiences and lessons we're meant to gain along the way. It's easy to lose patience when things don't seem to be progressing as quickly as we want them to. The desire for immediate results is natural, especially in a world where we can have almost anything at the touch of a button. But if we constantly push ourselves to move faster, to achieve more, and to reach our goals on a shortened timeline, we risk missing out on the richness of the journey. Patience allows us to slow down, to appreciate where we are, and to understand that sometimes the best things in life take time to unfold. It's in the waiting, in the moments of uncertainty, and in the spaces between where we are and where we want to be that we learn the most about ourselves and the world around us. The truth is, patience isn't just about waiting for things to happen. It's about trust. It's about trusting the process, trusting that things are unfolding the way they are meant to, even if we can't see the bigger picture yet. It's about understanding that sometimes we need to go through challenges, setbacks, and periods of stillness in order to grow and be prepared for what's next. Life often doesn't unfold according to our timeline, and that's okay. The most meaningful experiences, the moments that truly shape us, rarely come on our terms or when we expect them. But they come at the perfect time, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Patience also teaches us resilience. It teaches us to keep going even when progress seems slow or when the road ahead feels uncertain. It helps us develop the ability to handle setbacks without becoming discouraged, knowing that every delay, every bump in the road is part of the process. The greatest achievements don't happen overnight. They are the result of consistent effort, persistence, and the ability to keep moving forward. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, patience allows us to maintain our commitment to our goals even when the results are not immediately visible. In many ways, patience is a form of self-compassion. It's about understanding that we don't have to have everything figured out all at once. We don't have to be perfect, and we don't need to rush our personal growth or development. Patience allows us to accept that we are a work in progress, and that's okay. We don't need to be in a hurry to reach a destination that we've defined for ourselves. Life is not a race, and there is no set timeline that we need to follow. When we embrace patience, we give ourselves permission to be human, to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow at our own pace. It's important to recognize that patience isn't about passivity. It's not about sitting idly by and waiting for things to happen. Rather, it's about taking active steps toward our goals while allowing life to unfold in its own time. Patience is the balance between action and acceptance. It's about doing the work, showing up every day, and giving our best effort, but also being okay with the fact that things may not happen immediately. It's the understanding that some things are beyond our control. And that's where patience comes in. It's about doing what we can, trusting the process, and having faith that the timing will align when it's right. One of the greatest challenges in developing patience is learning how to handle the discomfort of waiting. We are often conditioned to believe that waiting is wasted time, that if we aren't seeing progress immediately, we aren't moving forward. But the truth is, waiting is not wasted. Every moment of stillness, every period of waiting offers us something valuable. It gives us the opportunity to reflect, to adjust, and to prepare ourselves for what's coming next. Often it is in the waiting that we gain clarity, strength, and a deeper understanding of our purpose. Patience helps us learn how to sit with discomfort, how to tolerate the uncertainty of not knowing what will come next, and how to trust that everything will unfold in due time. There's a profound beauty in patience. When we embrace it, we begin to see life from a different perspective. We start to appreciate the small moments, the quiet achievements, and the steps along the way that make the journey worthwhile. We stop rushing through life, trying to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And instead, we begin to savor each moment, knowing that the process itself is as important as the destination. Patience teaches us to appreciate the journey for what it is, not just for what it will lead to. It shifts our focus from the future to the present, allowing us to fully experience the now. And while patience can be difficult, it is also incredibly rewarding. The rewards of patience are often subtle. They may not be immediately obvious, but they build over time. They show up in the form of deeper understanding, greater resilience, and a stronger sense of self. Patience allows us to develop the capacity to handle life's challenges with grace, to face adversity without giving up, and to approach our dreams with a sense of calm and clarity. It gives us the strength to keep going, even when things seem uncertain, and the faith to trust that the journey is leading us exactly where we need to be. There is something profoundly powerful about the concept of self-belief. It is the foundation of everything we achieve, and yet it is often the hardest thing to cultivate. Self-belief is not just about thinking positively or having confidence in our abilities. It's about deeply trusting in our own potential and knowing that no matter the obstacles or setbacks, we have the strength to move forward. Believing in ourselves is the catalyst that propels us toward our goals, even when the road seems unclear, even when we doubt ourselves, and even when the world around us doesn't seem to support us. In a world that constantly tells us what we should be, how we should act, and what success should look like, it can be easy to lose sight of our own value. Society, family, and friends often set expectations that, if we're not careful, can make us question our worth and our abilities. We become conditioned to seek validation from external sources rather than developing the internal foundation of self-belief. But the truth is, self-belief does not depend on approval or validation from others. It's an internal compass, a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who we are, what we stand for, and where we want to go. Self-belief is not something that happens overnight. It's something that we must nurture even when it feels difficult. It's about recognizing that failure is not an indication of our lack of ability, but an opportunity for growth. When we fail, we often see it as a reflection of our inadequacy, but in reality, it's a necessary part of the learning process. Every failure teaches us something valuable, something that brings us closer to success. And when we can look at failure from this perspective, we shift the narrative. We stop seeing ourselves as failures and start seeing ourselves as people who are resilient, who are learning, and who are growing. One of the key components of self-belief is understanding that we are not defined by our mistakes or our past. Our past may shape us, but it does not have to determine our future. So often we carry the weight of past failures, rejections, or disappointments with us, allowing them to dictate how we see ourselves and how we approach new challenges. But self-belief means releasing that baggage and understanding that each day is a new opportunity to create something different. It's about recognizing that we are capable of change, of evolving, and of redefining who we are. Self-belief also means trusting the process. It's knowing that success doesn't happen instantly and that the journey is filled with ups and downs. When we are patient with ourselves, when we trust that progress takes time, we can move through the challenges with more grace and less self-doubt. Self-belief gives us the courage to keep going even when we can't see the outcome. It allows us to continue taking small steps forward, knowing that every effort counts, even if we can't see immediate results. At times, building self-belief means silencing the inner critic, the voice inside our heads that tells us we're not good enough, that we'll never be successful, that we'll never be able to achieve our dreams. We all have this voice, and it can be incredibly loud and convincing. But self-belief is about recognizing that this voice does not define us. It's about separating the truth from the lies, the fear from the potential, and moving forward regardless of the negative thoughts that try to hold us back. It's about creating a new inner narrative, one that empowers us, encourages us, and reminds us of our strength. One of the most powerful ways to develop self-belief is through small, consistent actions. It's easy to get overwhelmed by big goals and lofty dreams, but when we break them down into smaller, manageable steps, we begin to see progress, and with progress comes confidence. Each small victory builds on the last, and before we know it, we have accumulated a series of successes that reinforce our belief in ourselves. These actions don't have to be big or dramatic. They simply have to be consistent. When we show up every day, even in the smallest ways, we begin to prove to ourselves that we are capable. Another key aspect of self-belief is surrounding ourselves with people who support and uplift us. The people we spend time with have a profound impact on how we see ourselves. If we surround ourselves with people who encourage us, who believe in our potential, and who challenge us to grow, we are more likely to believe in ourselves. On the other hand, if we are constantly around people who criticize, doubt, or discourage us, it becomes harder to cultivate that inner belief. The company we keep has the power to influence our mindset. And when we choose to be around people who inspire us, we begin to see our own potential reflected back at us. Believing in ourselves also means being willing to take risks, to step out of our comfort zones, and to face the unknown. It's easy to stay where it's safe, to stick with what we know, and to avoid situations that make us feel uncertain. But growth happens when we push ourselves beyond those boundaries, when we take chances and embrace the unknown. Self-belief gives us the courage to take those risks, knowing that even if we fail, we will learn and grow from the experience. Self-belief is about trusting that we are enough. We are enough just as we are, and we are capable of achieving amazing things. It's about embracing our imperfections and recognizing that they don't diminish our worth. They make us unique, resilient, and human. It's about trusting that the path we are on, even with its challenges and setbacks, is leading us toward the person we are meant to become. When we truly believe in ourselves, we unlock our fullest potential, and the possibilities are endless. Setbacks are not failures. They are not the end of the road, nor are they signs that we are not capable or worthy. Often, setbacks are the moments when life teaches us the most important lessons. We've all faced challenges that seem insurmountable, moments when it feels like the universe is pushing back against us, as if everything we work for is slipping through our fingers. But the truth is, these setbacks, these roadblocks, are often the very things that shape us into stronger, more resilient individuals. When you face a setback, it's natural to feel frustration, disappointment, and doubt. You might question your abilities, your choices, and even your worth. You might wonder why you tried so hard, only to end up in the same place, or worse, feeling like you've taken 2 steps backward. But in those moments, what we fail to see is that a setback is not a sign of failure. It is an invitation to pause, reflect, and grow. We live in a society that often equates success with progress. We're taught that the only valid measure of success is forward movement, that if we aren't constantly climbing, if we're not always moving towards something bigger, better, and brighter, then we're somehow falling behind. But this kind of thinking can be dangerous. It doesn't leave room for the times when life needs us to pause, to take a step back, or to reassess the direction we're headed. Setbacks force us to do exactly that. They create space for us to stop and reflect on our journey, to assess where we are and, more importantly, where we're going. In my own life, I've faced setbacks that at the time seemed impossible to overcome. When I first experienced a life-changing challenge, I thought it was the end of my dreams. The end of the life I had planned for myself. Everything I had worked for, everything I had envisioned for the future seemed to vanish in an instant. I thought that the setback had destroyed me, that it had razed everything I had worked so hard to build. But what I didn't realize in that moment was that the setback was not the end. It was the beginning. It was an opportunity to redefine my purpose, to reconsider my path, and to find strength I never knew I had. That's the thing about setbacks. They can feel like an ending, but in reality, they are often a turning point. The moments when we're knocked down are the moments that force us to rise stronger, wiser, and more equipped to face the next challenge. We learn to be resourceful. We learn to lean on the resilience that exists within us, even when we don't think it's there. We realize that we are capable of much more than we ever imagined. When we face setbacks, it's important to remember that they don't define us. They are part of the process. No one achieves greatness without encountering obstacles along the way. In fact, it is the obstacles that make the victory sweeter. It is the struggle, the perseverance, and the strength that we gain in overcoming setbacks that prepare us for what lies ahead. Setbacks are the crucibles in which our character is forged. At times, it can be hard to see the lessons within a setback. It's easy to become consumed by the negative emotions that come with failure or disappointment. But if we allow ourselves to step back, even for a moment, we begin to see the truth. Setbacks provide us with the opportunity to grow. They force us to ask important questions. What can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better, stronger, and more capable? In asking these questions, we shift our focus from what we've lost to what we can gain. And that shift in perspective is often the key to overcoming any setback. Consider the times in history when setbacks have led to great breakthroughs. Many of the world's most innovative minds and successful individuals have experienced significant failures, only to rise from them stronger than before. Thomas Edison, for instance, failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. Each failure, each setback was simply a step toward his ultimate success. He didn't see his setbacks as failures, but as part of the process. Without them, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn, to refine, and to ultimately create something that changed the world. The truth is, setbacks often lead us to places we could never have imagined. If everything had gone according to plan, they may not give us the instant gratification or the smooth road that we desire, but they push us in new directions, often uncovering opportunities we would have never noticed otherwise. When we face a setback, we are often given the chance to reassess our priorities, to rethink our goals, and to explore new paths. It is in these moments of difficulty that we discover what truly matters to us, what we are truly passionate about, and what we are truly capable of achieving. Setbacks also teach us humility. They remind us that no matter how much we plan, how much we strive, or how much we believe we can control, life has a way of reminding us that we are not the only force at work. We are part of a much bigger picture. And sometimes the setbacks we face are part of the universe's grander plan. Humility in the face of a setback is a powerful tool. It allows us to accept that we don't have all the answers, that we don't always have control, and that there is always room to grow and learn. But perhaps the most important thing we can do in the face of setbacks is to keep moving forward. Progress doesn't always look the way we think it should. It isn't always a straight line or a smooth path. Sometimes it's a series of steps backward before we make progress again. But even in the face of setbacks, even when we feel like we are moving backward, we are still moving. Every experience, every lesson learned is a step forward, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. Setbacks are not to be feared. They are not obstacles that stand in the way of success. Rather, they are integral parts of the journey, moments that give us the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience we need to continue forward. In the end, it is not the setbacks that define us, but how we choose to rise from them. It is our ability to persevere, to learn, and to grow through the challenges that truly shapes our success. Trusting the journey, especially when things seem uncertain or difficult, is one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of life. It is easy to feel lost or disheartened when things don't go as planned, when the path ahead seems unclear, or when you find yourself stuck in a place you never imagined you'd be. During these times, it can feel impossible to see the bigger picture, and the natural instinct is often to question everything, your decisions, your direction, and even your purpose. But even in these moments, when everything feels uncertain, it is essential to trust the journey, because the truth is, you are exactly where you need to be, even if you can't see it yet. The journey of life is rarely linear. We often imagine that success follows a clear, predictable trajectory, one where every step we take brings us closer to where we want to be. We envision a straight line that moves forward with purpose, with every obstacle eventually leading to a breakthrough. But in reality, life's journey is filled with twists, turns, and detours. It is full of unexpected surprises, some good, some not so much, and the path we think we're supposed to take often looks nothing like the one we end up on. However, this is not a flaw in the system. This is the way life works. Life's journey is about discovery, growth, and learning. It's not just about the destination, but about the experiences, the people, and the lessons along the way. Trusting the journey means embracing the unknown, allowing yourself to flow with the changes that come, and having faith that each step, even the missteps, is part of something greater. When you trust the journey, you are acknowledging that there is a bigger plan at work, even when you can't see it clearly. It's about surrendering the need for control and accepting that things may not always unfold the way you expect, but they will unfold the way they are meant to. One of the most challenging aspects of trusting the journey is accepting uncertainty. Uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, even terrifying. It's the space between where you are now and where you want to be. It's the gap that makes you question your direction and wonder whether you're on the right path. But in truth, uncertainty is where the magic happens. It is where you grow, where you learn new things about yourself, and where you're forced to become more adaptable, creative, and open-minded. Life will always be filled with unknowns, no matter how much planning you do, no matter how much you try to anticipate what's next. The key is to find peace in that uncertainty, to trust that you don't need to have it all figured out right away. The answers will come in their own time. Trusting the journey also involves letting go of the need for immediate results. We live in a fast-paced world where instant gratification is often the expectation. We want things to happen quickly. We want to see results now. But the reality is that real growth, real progress takes time. The most meaningful transformations in life happen gradually, sometimes without us even realizing it. Trusting the journey means understanding that everything happens in its own time. Success, happiness, love, fulfillment, they all require patience. They require you to continue moving forward even when the end isn't yet in sight. One of the most difficult aspects of this trust is learning to be patient with yourself. We are often our own harshest critics, pushing ourselves to move faster, to achieve more, to be better. But this drive for perfection can be counterproductive. The journey is not about perfection. It is about progress. It's about learning from mistakes, picking yourself back up after falling down, and continuing forward with the lessons you've gained. Trusting yourself and the journey means giving yourself permission to make mistakes, to stumble, and to not have it all together. It's about accepting that you are human, and the beauty of the journey lies in the process, not in the destination. Along the way, the journey will not always be smooth. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and discouragement. You may wonder if you're on the right path or if you've made the wrong choices. But these moments of uncertainty are part of the process. They are the tests, the challenges that help you grow stronger, more resilient, and more determined. They help you develop the mindset needed to continue pursuing your goals, even when the road ahead looks unclear. It's during these times that trusting the journey is most important. When everything seems hard, that is when you need to hold on to your faith in the process and keep moving forward. Trust that even if you can't see the way ahead, every step is taking you closer to where you need to be. The people you meet along the way, the experiences you have, and the challenges you face all shape the journey. Trusting the journey means accepting that each person, each encounter, and each moment, whether good or bad, is part of the larger picture. Sometimes the people who come into our lives do so at the exact moment we need them, even though we can't predict how they will affect us. Sometimes the difficult moments you face are exactly what you need to become the person you are meant to be. Every moment, every interaction, and every challenge you encounter is a part of your story, and trusting that the story is unfolding as it should allows you to appreciate the journey, even in its most difficult moments. When you trust the journey, you also learn to appreciate the present moment. It's easy to get caught up in thinking about the future, about what's next or where you want to be, but life happens in the present. The journey you're on, the life you're living, is happening right now. When you're constantly focused on the future, you miss the beauty of today. You miss the small victories, the quiet moments of peace, and the lessons that are waiting for you in the present. Trusting the journey means being fully present in your life, embracing where you are, and accepting that the path you're on right now is leading you somewhere important, even if you don't know exactly where yet.